of this whole story, I think that the big number there for me is looking at the average price per square foot is over $130 less price per square foot for a single family home under 800,000. In today's video, we're going over some statistics from some Miami data and Port St. Lucie data. What I'm trying to show is the difference in the single family home, specifically under 800,000, how much price per square foot that kind of home costs down in Miami and what that home costs up in Port St. Lucie, and what the opportunities might be for somebody considering moving from Miami or maybe somewhere outside the country if you're thinking of moving to Miami or Port St. Lucie, how you can gauge those numbers. Let's get into it. So diving directly into the numbers here. Now this is Port St. Lucie. This is single family homes under 800,000. Now this isn't pools or anything like that, just under 800,000 in Port St. Lucie. Now the July numbers here have come in, and so we have 724 here. So the July numbers are 17,056 on the market, and we had 467 closings in July of this year. We went back to July of last year, it was 959, so it's nearly double the inventory, but it looks like it's coming down a little bit in Port St. Lucie, which is good for the sellers up there. And then the pending line has gone up. But if, again, we look back here, July, it was 959, pendings 475, and close 470. So we'll dig in. Let's dig into what those numbers mean of a year over year. If we look at for sale units in July of 24, it was 1756. So what does that mean as far as percentages and so forth? So basically what we have is July of 23 in Port St. Lucie, it was 959 units that came on the market, and it was a 17 or on the market. We have 1,756. That's up 83% inventory in 1 year's time. Now, sold units went from 477 to 467, so that's down 2%. And then we had solds were actually up. Solds went from 475 to 550. So it's actually up, so that's absorbing some of the inventory, but the big numbers there is that 83% more units on the market. All right, now if we move down here to price per square foot, this is a lot of what people like to look at as far as price per square foot in Port St. Lucie. You can see it kind of runs across here. We got 724, 228, 723, 222. If we look down here, that's dollars per square foot. So that's the square footage under air. Now, if we look here at the what this breaks down to is that in July of 23, we had 222, and then it went to 228. So it's up almost 3% average price per square foot. So some of you, if you're in Port St. Lucie, you're under that 800,000, you're at least the 3%, probably a little bit more. And actually, as the price goes down, the appreciation has gone up. We'll get into that in other videos. Now, let's look down here at days on the market. How many days on the market is it taking to sell? We look over here, it's 724, 60 days on the market. National average is like 76 days, so that's pretty low, and people are getting on average 95% of their sale price. If we look back over here, 723, it went from 47 days on the market, so it's taking about 13 more days on the market to sell in Port St. Lucie. But remember, we're well below the national average, even at 60 days on the market. Now, last year, they were getting 96% of their original listing price to sale price with 95. What does that look on the graph here? We're actually up 27%. So in July of 23 was 47, July of 24 was 60, and we actually went up by almost 27% days on the market. If we look at the sold of original listing price to sale price, it basically went down 1%. It went from 96% original or the original listing price to sale price and went down to 95. So you're down about 1%. Let's move over here to the month supply of inventory. This tells us whether we're in a buyer, seller, or neutral. So that seller market is under 3 months of inventory, neutral market between 3 and 6, and over 6 months of inventory is a buyer's market. So what we have here is 3.8 months of inventory as of July of 24. If we went over here to July of 23, it was at 2 months of inventory. So the inventory has almost doubled. You can see this ascension that it really went up and it went almost into a buyer's market in Port St. Lucie, but snowbirds came into town, and then the summer selling season, as people are moving for school, has absorbed that inventory, and it actually looks like it's going a little bit down. Now, what does this look like from percentage? Basically, July of 23, 2 months of inventory. July of 24, 3.8 months of inventory, up almost 89%. So you're getting close to 100% change there. So that's it for Port St. Lucie. Let's take a look at Miami in relation relative to Port St. Lucie. You had 1657 units, so similar. You had around 1700 in Port St. Lucie. You had 602 units that closed in July of 2024, and we had 747 go under agreement. If we looked over here at 723, you can see, we'll get into the actual percentages, but you had 1,103 units on the market, and then it was 663 that sold, and then you had 697 that went under agreement. What does this look like from percentages? Diving into that, July of 23 was 1,103 units on the market. It went to 1,657. So you're up 50% in Miami. Now, Port St. Lucie or St. Lucie County was up 80%, but you're still up down there in Miami. You're up by, almost a little over 50%. Now, as far as the sold units, that's actually down. So it went from 663 to 602. That's down 9.2%. So you're down in solds. Now, pendeds is actually up, similar to Port St. Lucie, from 697 to 747 units under agreement. So you're actually up in those pended units. So what does this tell us? It tells us that, we're still seeing an increase in inventory even down there in Dade County. Now, this is an interesting graph because you can see that the average price per square foot has kind of gone up. It's gone left to right up. Only a couple months that it bounced down. 724 was at 352, and that went to 332 a year ago. So what does that mean? And again, it looks like a nice, healthy appreciation. We went from 332 to 352 this year as far as average price per square foot sold. So what is that? It's at 6%. Again, each area is going to be a little bit different, but if you're down there in Miami and you thought, maybe I bought a year ago, I don't like this, or maybe you bought a couple of years ago, you got a healthy appreciation in there where you actually could get out. If you finance the property, then you offsetting the interest with taxes, and you would still win and be able to go up. Now, the big story that I wanted to at least dive into a little bit here is you're talking almost $130 per square foot change from Port St. Lucie to Miami. $132 per square feet under air. Remember that, because if you're thinking about moving down here or you're thinking about moving from Miami to Port St. Lucie, you really want to keep that in mind. Now, let's get into the days on market. Stayed pretty level. You went 724 at 44 days on the market. 723 was 38 days on the market, so both obviously well below the national average. 96% original listing price to sale price. Port St. Lucie was 95, but last year it was at 97. So what are those stats? Pretty straightforward. They both went down 1% in the original listing price to sale price. Not a big move there. However, days on the market did go up about almost 16%. So we went from 38 days to 44 days, and you're up almost 16% average days on the market. But remember, in general terms, that's very low compared to the national average of over 70, as according to Case-Shiller. Now, let's get into the month supply of inventory. 724, we had 2.8 months of inventory in Miami, single-family homes under 800,000. You can see that this is all pretty much in a neutral market. The rest of it was in a seller's market. Over to July of 23, that was 1.7 months of inventory. So you've gone up a little bit over a month of inventory. What does that mean as far as statistics? You went from 1.7 months of inventory again to 2.8. It's up 66%. So they're up dramatically still. Given super low inventory at 1.7 months of inventory is very, very low. So what is this moral of this whole story? I think that the big number there for me is looking at the average price per square foot is over $130 less price per square foot for a single family home under 800,000. Now, we're not even looking at the age of these homes. Now, I'll do an analysis in the future to show you the age of the homes. is, that's a total aggregate, not just like taking out newer homes, older homes, pool homes, so forth. So $130 a square foot is pretty significant. If you were thinking about moving to Florida, just take a look at that kind of number. Now, what does it also say? We had more of an appreciation down in Miami of that 6%, whereas Port St. Lucie had that 3%. So there's a differential there. But what is the opportunity? I see the opportunity as you're into it, well into a neutral market under 800,000 Port St. Lucie. You're just barely into a neutral market down there in Dade. So it's a much more aggressive market for a buyer coming in. So if you're a seller thinking about coming out, you're going to be in a good situation. If you're a buyer thinking about going to Port St. Lucie or the Treasure Coast or Miami, just know that that's going to be a much more aggressive market under 800,000 for your buying endeavors. I hope that this information was valuable, and we would love comments on, hey, maybe you could do it this way, maybe you could do it that way. I'd like to see this market, I'd like to see that market. I'd love to hear your comments. Drop one below. We'll see you on the next video. Thank you.